On your marks, get set, go!
Thomas Gerard Walker was many things to many people. He even had an alias. To many of you, he was Tommy, to some Thomas, to us just Tom, and when the mood took him, even Tommy K the DJ. Tom was the cool uncle when we were growing up. He of course was a moody teenager at times, surrounded by a bunch of little kids wanting to play. When Tom would join you in the garden for a game of donkey, it was a good day. He was then, and remained until the day of his death, fiercely protective of us all. I was getting teased for a while by a group of older boys at school because I turned my feet in when I walked. When Tom found out, he went mad. He marched up to them, told them that if they ever thought of looking sideways at his niece again, they'd regret it. They never did. His taste in music, though, was never cool. When he wasn't at home, myself and Debbie would sneak into his room, careful not to disturb a thing in his immaculately kept space. We'd stick on his prized Krista Berg CD and dance around to Lady in Red. Tom had too much loss in his young life. He was hit hard by the loss of his baby sister Kathleen Rose when he was only 9. He lost a good friend Kevin in a car accident when he was a teenager, and both of his parents when he was only in his 20s. Just before his father died, Tom met Rachel, his lifeline, his soulmate, his person. Rachel was telling me about how they first met, working in Gallagher's Hotel. For her, it was, this guy is a cocky Egypt at first sight. He beat her to the job she wanted in the bar, despite the fact that he poured his mixers one at a time like a pure amateur. One day, though, as she worked at reception, he plucked a flower from her oasis on the reception desk and gave it to her, touching her face gently. She knew then that this was special, that he was the lock to her key and she to his. She was right. He took her on their first date to Rock Hill the next night, her looking stunning in a floor-length red dress despite having no idea about his Krista Berg fandom. Little did she know that a table full of his siblings and their partners would be there, and that she'd be meeting the family en masse. Instead of sitting with her, he headed off to the bar like the social butterfly he was and started chatting to people he knew, leaving poor Rachel at the Walker family gathering. Luckily, they all loved her. Tom also loved the Moore family. They have many happy memories of fiercely competitive games of cards together, phone calls about football results. They recalled a game of charades where Tom got enthusiastic about his gymnastic skills and almost crashed through a brand new set of doors in the cause of portraying a James Bond role. Tom was a secret romantic and a big softie. When he and Rachel would be away on holidays, he loved to hold her hand in public, but if she dared try backing down low, he'd pull her hand away to protect his cool rep. He always took Rachel for surprise trips away, planning and booking and organising everything himself, only telling her what to pack. Tom and Rachel had some incredibly hard times. They wanted so much to be parents and tried so hard to make this a reality. Once their hopes were building up as they neared 12 weeks of pregnancy before losing the baby they had dreamed of 2 days before Christmas in 2007. They were both devastated, and Rachel in particular remembers the devastation of those months and years. She started to slip into despair, but he caught her. She wasn't going down, not on his watch. Together, they rebuilt. They created a life and a family which was not the one they had once dreamed of, but one that was based on the strength of their love, their commitment to each other, their ability to balance each other, to laugh together, to protect each other. As Princess Diana once said, though, there were 3 of them in the marriage. Tom, Rachel, and Spurs. Different religions didn't matter, but coming from an Arsenal family was a problem. Thankfully, Rachel jumped ship after a trip to London to see Spurs play, and the rest is history. Once they went to a bar after a match and bumped into Trigger from Fools and Horses, and then Stephen Carr, and finally, after stalking the celebrity area of the bar, getting to meet the great David Ginola. Tom went to shake hands with him and was so starstruck that Rachel had to remind him to let him go. Tom loved his nieces and nephews, and when they came along, his grandnieces and grandnephews. He was so proud of us all. We aren't a great family for being all lovey-dovey in person, but he'd often text afterwards and tell us how well we'd done at something or how proud he was of us. He was a big kid. He loved to amp the kids up into a state of absolute madness with tickles and music and dancing, especially before bedtime, and then hand them back. In the past 4.5 years, he's had an extra special new sidekick in the form of little Eddie. Tom adored him, and the feeling was entirely mutual. They'd go on adventures, read books, play games together, watch sport, and have epic naps that left Eddie nearly impossible to get to bed, but that no one had the heart or the will to stop because they both loved it so much. I'm sure lots of you have seen them on the front wall of their house waving at cars and trucks and demanding a beep. Tom was so intelligent. Chloe used to do her homework with him every evening. He loved learning and helping other people to learn. He loved helping Chloe with her Irish, complaining that it wasn't Donegal Irish in the book. He spent hours with her learning the counties of Ireland and wouldn't let her stop until she knew the names and locations of the 32 counties for her test the next day. In the weeks since his death, in the midst of the shock and the sadness, we have loved to hear about even more sides to our Tom. We've loved hearing about his important place in his beloved Strand Rovers team. We've loved hearing about Tom, the workmate, the crack he had, how great he was with numbers, how particular he was that everything was done just right. He worked in retail and in hospitality, and in more recent years discovered his love of working outdoors and with his hands with the oysters. Tom loved life. He loved chatting and having fun with his friends. He loved holding court about football and racing, TV shows and politics, sharing stories with people young and old. There is some comfort to have heard that he spent his last night as he did, kissing Rachel goodnight and then being in great form in the bar, chatting with people full of life and fun and mischief. There is the most enormous hole left today, in our family, in our hearts, in our community. Whether he was Tom or Tommy, Thomas or Tommy K, the DJ, he will be missed. His memory will be treasured. He has left us a very special legacy of love.
Didn't know today would be your last, that I'd have to say goodbye to you so fast. I'm so numb I can't feel anymore. Praying you just walk back through that door. Tell me that I was only dreaming. You're not really gone as long as I believe. There will be another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight.
Tom, it's not very often in our marriage that I get to say the last word, so I'll take it today while I get the chance. I love you forever.
Yeah, kiss.